This is going to be a tutorial where I'm going to highlight some key steps on how to prepare workers' comp claims in order to get them ready to submit through the clearinghouse, specifically the eMEDIX clearinghouse, and on over to the insurance. Just to point out first, before we get started, in this video, we're going to show you how to enter information into Medisoft so it appears in the right place on a claim. Please know we're not certified billers and don't provide legal, compliance, or payer-specific guidance. It's still your responsibility to know and follow the requirements for the claims that you submit. Now, if you need to just take a moment and pause the video here to read the rest of the disclaimer, you can go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to be covering two main parts in the video. There's going to be the part on the Medisoft side where we're going to highlight the patient, case, and insurance information sections. And then there's going to be the eMEDIX side, how to pull up the patient and how to upload the attachment that you saved on your computer. So we're going to first start over on the eMEDIX website, specifically the payer list section. You see here at the very top, we've got the web address, which is going to be online.emedixus.com/payer-list. Now, I have an example here of an insurance carrier that I looked up. You can see there's a payer name, payer type is work comp. This is an important part of the process because you want to make sure that you grab the correct payer code that you're going to be plugging into Medisoft. A few key things to note on here is when I looked up this insurance, American Airlines, you see down here at the very bottom the results that pulled up. You want to make sure that you're selecting the correct method of how you're sending your claims over, whether it's institutional or professional, because they could have two different payer codes, which you see in this example. So make sure that that's correct, that you're grabbing the right payer code. You're also going to notice another column here where it says unsolicited claim attachments. Under this column, if you see the word electronic, that means that the clearinghouse will send your attachment electronically when you upload it. And we'll be covering those steps a little bit later in this video. So that's what that means. If it says electronic, it might say not available for some of the payers that you look up. What that means, you can still send your claim electronically over to eMEDIX. It just means that the attachment that you place on the claim, that is going to be dropped to paper by the clearinghouse. So electronic means it'll be sent electronically to the insurance. Not available means it'll be dropped to paper. And then the appropriate fees will be applied depending on which method that you're doing. Once you have the payer number, that's the purpose of this website, is to grab the correct payer number. Then you're going to take that information over into Medisoft. So we'll head over there now. And inside of your Medisoft, in your practice, you're going to go to List, Insurance Carriers. Then you're going to locate that insurance you have or create it if it's not already in there. So there's American Airlines. I'm going to open up that insurance, double clicking on it. And then I'm going to head over first to the EDI/eligibility tab. In here, make sure that you have the receiver, which might already be in there if you've already been sending claims. So make sure that that's selected in there. It's typically EMCL for eMEDIX. And then this spot right here, this is where you're going to be grabbing the payer number that you grabbed over on the website and plugging it right into this field. The other field that's important is the type, where you see here under carrier EDI settings. If you're doing workers' comp type claims, make sure that that's selected on here. Perhaps you're doing automobile medical type, where you might also be sending attachments. But make sure the type is selected as a workers' comp in this example. Then go over to the address tab. This is another important area, especially for those payers where maybe the selection of the option is not available that you see under unsolicited claim attachments, meaning they're going to be dropping them to paper. If that's the case, you want to make sure, but at the same time, make sure you always have the correct address here, because that's the address that the attachment is going to be sent to. So that's also an important part of this setup here in the insurance list. And then once you're done here, you head over to the patient And we're going to pull up the example of the one we're going to be doing here in this video. So I went over to list, patient guarantors and cases, pull up the patient name. On the left-hand side here, you'll have, in this example, I have Dwight again. I'm inside of the tutorial data set, so there's no PHI here showing. And then once we have our patient name selected here on the left, then on the right, we're going to go inside of the case that has those dates of service or transactions that are going to be sent on the claim. So make sure you double click on that case. I'm going to go into this case number 2. And then from here, go and click on the diagnosis tab. And then we're going to start on these fields here. This is another part that's going to be pulled into the clearinghouse as long as you have it set up in Medisoft correctly. So the EDI report section, there's 3 fields you'll need to fill out: report type code, report transmission code, and the attachment control number. If you're unsure of what to place, especially in the report type code and the report transmission code fields, Medisoft has some samples or examples of what you can put into that field. You can quickly pull up that list by going over on the right where it says help. I'm going to click on help. It's going to take me right to that section that we're in. And all you have to do is just scroll down and click on the tab that you're under. So right here, we'll go to diagnosis. And then we're going to scroll down to where it says EDI report. There's report type code, and you'll see a link that you can click on. It says report type codes. When I click on that, it's going to show me a list of all the different codes that you can select. This is another area where you want to make sure you have the right selection on here and verify with the insurance. Many of the customers that we worked with, a lot of them use the OZ type code for support data for claim. But just make sure you've got the right selection. If it's not on here, just double check with the payer. And then the other section is the other field is the report transmission code. So there's some samples there. It's a lot easier to select from this list. It's typically going to be the EL code, especially for the ones that you're sending electronically, or you've got other examples here, BM by mail, if that one is going to be a drop to paper. So grab the correct codes, make sure that they're filled in into these 2 spots. And this last field here, attachment control number, this is going to be the file name of how you have it saved on your computer. So currently I scanned the attachment that I'm going to be sending to the clearinghouse, and I labeled it as 123abc.pdf. So that's the name you want to have inside of Medisoft, because when I show you how to do this on the clearinghouse website, you're gonna need to make sure that's the exact same name. That's going to be the attachment you're sending over. So once you're done under this section, diagnosis, then we're going to head over to the policy 1 tab. And this is where we have the correct insurance that's listed here, the workers' comp payer. And then the other field is going to be the policy holder. This field, it's typically the patient or whoever the insurance is under, whether it's the patient themselves or their spouse. For workers' comp type claims or automobile, medical, make sure, well, actually, it's actually for workers' comp type claims. Make sure that the employer's name is listed here. So instead of the name of the patient, the name of the company that they work for is going to be listed here. And then inside of it, if you don't have an account already in here for that employer, you can just right click and go to new insured, and then just fill out all the fields for that company. So the name of the or the name of the company, the address information. Another spot that you want to have filled out correctly, I'm going to show you in my example, is down here towards the bottom, the entity type. Change that from person to non-person if it's the name of the employer. Next, the relationship to insured will be set to employee. And so that's if the company name is listed as the policy holder. And then have the other fields in there correctly, the policy number or group number if it applies. The claim number field right here, this is just showing you where on the electronic file is going to be sent on. The claim number is usually the property and casualty claim number. And so that information, you want to make sure it's accurate and then plug that into this field for claim number. Go ahead and save that information in the patient's case. The remaining steps, we're not going to show in this video. It's going to be the same as what you're already used to with checking the claim in revenue management, going through that process of sending the claims through in revenue management and completing all those steps to submit them over to the clearinghouse. Once you've completed all of those steps, then we're ready to pull up that patient on eMEDIX Online and to add the attachment. So make sure now you're going to go into your login, your portal that you have for eMEDIX Online. That website address is going to be online.emedixus.com. I'm inside of the demo database, so there's no PHI in this example, but it's going to look very similar to what you're seeing here. The menu options are going to be very similar as well. So to pull up the patient's claim, you're going to go to the Claims Connection menu, and then you're going to click on Workspace. You should already have a portal account. We're able to check your claim details. So Claims Connection Workspace, and then on these filters, you're going to put at least 3 filters in order to pull up that patient. There's going to be the date type, the start date, and the end date. So in my example, I put in the date and I've got Minnie Mouse, the patient. Once I click on search claims after I put in those filters, then you'll see the name show up here of the claim that you just submitted. And then over on the right, it's going to show you the claim status. So whatever it says there, mine says rejected, but in your example, it's probably going to say like processed or hold, whatever is showing under the claim status. Click on that status in order to open up the claim. From here, you should have an attachments tab listed all the way to the right. You're going to click on attachments. And then you're going to scroll down to where it says unsolicited payer claim info. And here, make sure that the file name that you saved on your computer, the one that you put under the diagnosis tab in the patient's case, that name is listed here, or click on the drop down in order to select it. So that's what's going to match up to the file that's going to be sent with your claim. And then the last step is going to be down here towards the bottom. This is where you're going to browse on your computer to where you have the file saved. So I'm going to click on inside of this screen here, and then it's going to open up the area where your claim or your attachment is saved. My example, it's just going right to that location, but you may have to browse over to wherever you have it saved. So here's the file that I labeled inside of Medisoft 123abc.pdf. So you're going to highlight it, click on open, and then you'll see it loaded here on this screen. Then you're going to click on submit attachment. So it connects it to that claim. And then finally, the transmit button is lit up here. Go ahead and click on that. And then it's going to push that claim through with all the details of that patient information, including the attachment that you just saved it under. So those are all the steps that are needed. Make sure you, just to highlight and summarize what we covered, make sure you're grabbing the correct payer code, workers' comp payer code. Take note of whether it says electronic or not available. Place that payer number inside of Medisoft in the insurance list. Make sure all the right fields are in there. The type is set to workers' comp or automobile medical. Make sure the address is in there correct. Then go into the patient's case, fill out all the required fields under the diagnosis tab. Same thing with the policy details. Make sure the employer is listed if it's a workers' comp claim. And then the type is set to non-person. Save all those steps. And then go over to the eMEDIX website, pull up your patient's claim. Then go to the attachments tab inside of this screen here. Upload your attachments. Once you've completed those steps, you should be able to successfully submit your claim with your attachments. If you come across any errors or you have questions over some of these steps, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you out further, whether it's providing tech support or doing some one-on-one training. Thank you, everybody, for watching.